Hi everyone, welcome to Papa's Workshop. Today I'm building a wall cabinet, but this is not just any wall cabinet. This is a very specialized cabinet designed to hold the utility belts and equipment from a deputy sheriff. So today I want to show you how I designed it and built this cabinet. So let's get started. To begin this project, I start off with the table saw, and I'm using a 1x12 that's 8 feet long, and I also used a 1x6 that was 8 feet long to be able to cut out all of the parts for this project. Now the drawing that I did for this was a very rough sketch on just some basic dimensions. So these parts are a little bit rough, then I'm going to cut to size as I complete this project and as it begins to come together. The other goal that I have is I want to be able to have as little waste as possible. So I'm cutting this material to get the maximum benefit out of it. The other thing that I want to accomplish, on the 1x12 especially, there are some very large knots. I want to cut those out and not include those in the project. And while I was sanding this, I noticed that this knot actually is not completely sealed, and you can see the space around it. And then there's one more over here that did the same thing. And you can see that space where part of the material has gone away. Now earlier, I had filled this knot right here, and it's in good shape, and I filled another one right there. Those are going to be fine. But what I'm going to do is use the Starbond medium thick glue, and this is black. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and put that around this knot to be able to secure it in place. Now I'm going to put a link in the description below so that you can purchase the Starbond glue and receive a 10% discount off of your order. So look for that in the description below. So I'm just going to slowly fill it in and fill that gap around there and let it soak in. That's a pretty big gap. And then this one over here, without moving the camera, I can do the same thing. If I can, I'd actually like the knot to remain visible, because I think it adds some character to the piece. But I still need it secure. Now I'm going to hit it with a little bit of the accelerator. And then that will be dry. Now I can go back and finish sanding. In fact, I may need a little bit of a second coat. Yeah, because that's soaked in, so no sanding yet. I'm going to go ahead and fill that in with a little bit more. And I'm not sure if you can see that much detail in the camera. There we go. So that hole actually was deeper than what I thought it was, because it soaked right down into the wood. And this one did the same thing right in here. And then back on this side. Now that's got it filled. Now I can go ahead and get everything sanded. All the parts are cut to size. Everything has been tested and fits properly. So I get to sand, and do some more sanding. The other thing I want to point out too, I'm using this palm sander, and I'm using 220 grit to be able to do all of this sanding of this cabinet. The stain that I'm going to be using is by Ben Wax, is Special Walnut. I decided to go ahead and stain this first because it's just going to be a lot easier to be able to get everything done and to get all the little corners and things on this cabinet. And then from there, to be able to assemble it is going to be real easy. And then I'll finish it up with some spray lacquer, and that will complete it. Now I'm just going to take an old sock and stain this. I'm just going to wipe it on, and that creates a very nice finish. It's not too dark. I think that's going to look real good. In years past, I would have always finished the project first before finishing. But I have found that it's actually a whole lot easier to be able to do it this way. Now, I didn't show this one, but I'd actually laminated this together a few weeks ago. So it was ready to go. And I didn't film that. But this is actually 3 pieces of 1x6 that I had laminated together. And when I did it, I really didn't have a project in mind, but I had the 1x6s, and I went ahead and laminated them together. At the time, I wasn't too concerned about the glue seeping out, because I didn't really think about what I wanted to do with this. But I try to take caution with it anyway. And it looks really, really good. You can see I wipe it on pretty generously. Then I can just come back and wipe off the excess. And there we go. I've got the cleaned hands. Everything is finished. All it's got to do now is dry. And tomorrow I'll go ahead and assemble everything. I want to take just a moment and show you this rabbet that I put into the back of this side, be able to hold the back of the cabinet. Now this is 3/4 of an inch, and this is roughly 3/8 of an inch down. The only real critical measurement here is I wanted this thickness to be the same thickness as the back, so that when the cabinet is viewed from the side, you couldn't see the back. Now I could have set up a dado into the table saw to cut this, but instead I just went ahead and used a regular blade on the saw, and I want to show you how I did that. Now the first thing that I'm going to do is just set the height, and I want to be able to have this, about 3/8 of an inch. So that would be about halfway down. So, and this is not the critical part, but right there is about halfway. I'm going to put it on this side to see it. That's about halfway, so that's going to cut about 3/8 of an inch. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that first. The first thing I want to do is raise up the height of this blade to the thickness of the wood. So that's the height that I need. And then the second, that's going to bring it up to this point. And then the second measurement is I need this distance to be able to cut it. So we'll bring this over. And we'll line that up right to there. We'll lock the fence down, and we'll do a quick little test cut. The test cut, I just barely go in to be able to have the top of the blade intersect where that first cut was made. If you look at that, that is a nice sharp 90-degree angle, and it's exactly where it needs to be here. So with that test cut done, I can go ahead and cut this all the way through now. This is an easy way to cut the rabbet cut, especially when you don't have a lot to do. I only needed 2 cuts to accomplish this. And if you take a look at that rabbet joint, that is literally perfect. And I don't have the grooves in there as if I ran multiple passes over. This is a very clean, smooth rabbet joint that works perfect for this cabinet. Now this is my pocket hole jig that I'm using from the Armor Tool Company, and I'll put a link to the video where I did a review on this a short time ago. Now this pocket hole jig works extremely well. I absolutely love the vacuum hose attachment. It keeps all the dust away. And there's a lot of features and benefits that just is not found on other pocket hole jigs. One of the things that I like to do on setting up a joint like this is put a little spacer block in. And that way, when I put this into place and turn it over to nail it, I'll be able to do so knowing that this is exactly where it needs to be. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little glue onto this joint, and then we're going to nail it in place. And I'll just go ahead and wipe off the excess glue, and I'll be able to remove my little temporary brace. And there we go. That part is done. Now we'll go ahead and do the same thing over here. Now this one, because this is now in position, I can literally set it exactly where it needs to be and then nail it in. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and put a little glue on here. Now I know some of you will ask, this is an 1¼ inch nail, because I'm using this on 3/4 inch material. And this is a 18 gauge nail. And there we have it. That part's in. Again, I'm going to wipe off the excess glue. Now on the next section, I use the pocket holes, and I'm going to go ahead and screw that into place. Now I opened up my logo, and I want to be able to put that onto the bottom of the cabinet that I'm making. This is the back of the cabinet, and what I want to be able to do is put it right in the center, and I have a little small pencil dot right here. That is going to be the center point on where I want it. But to be able to do this, I can't put this sign back all the way into my CNC machine because this board is too wide. This is a little over 35 inches wide, and I only have a bed of about 30 inches. So I actually have to be able to turn this 90 degrees to be able to put it on. So I have my logo. I have my center origin point right in the center. What I'm going to do is just go ahead and highlight everything, and then I want to be able to rotate this 90 degrees. So that rotates it 90 degrees. By using the undo, it brings it right back. I want to put this at 270, and there we go. That's how I want to set it up. That's going to put it on the right side of my machine to be able to do this logo. And I'll still use that as a center origin. And what I'm going to do is do a test piece just to make sure. So I'm going to go ahead and set that up now, and we're going to engrave this. Having this rotation feature up here is absolutely wonderful to be able to rotate the projects as needed to be able to fit on the CNC machine. Okay, I have a scrap piece of wood sitting here, and all I'm going to do, because I'm really not too concerned about the location on this one, so I'm just going to slide it in place, but I want to make sure that it's going to carve the direction that I want it to. That looks like it's going to be perfect. So it's doing the W right now. So that's going to be exactly what I'm looking for. Now I have the actual project in position, and I've got it squared to the table. And I've also turned on the laser to a very low setting to make sure that it's set exactly where I want it. So that's right centered of the dot. You just probably can't see that in the camera. So now that this is set, we're going to go ahead and engrave this. Here is the finished logo, and I think that that looks absolutely fantastic. That's exactly what I want to be able to accomplish. Because this back is solid wood, it will have a tendency to expand and contract. And for that reason, I am not going to glue this in place. That is going to be screwed right into this edge. And I want to pre-drill this first. I'll pre-sink this or countersink it at the same time. Last thing I've got to do is just put the top on, and again, because this is solid wood, it has a tendency to move in this direction. So the only thing I want to be able to do is line this up and make sure that that is equal distance on each side, and it is. And then I'm going to go ahead and nail this in place. Now the next thing I want to do is show you how I'm going to fill these holes. Now what I'm doing, I'm using a 3/8 inch dowel rod to be able to plug these holes. And what that allows it to do is just to slip directly in there. It goes in just like that. I'll glue it, and then we'll cut it off and sand it and stain it. So I need these about this long. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these over at the bandsaw. Now I've cut these dowel rods. These dowel rods are 3/8 of an inch in diameter, and they are 1 3/4 inches long. And the nice thing about that is that this, to me, is the easiest, simplest way to be able to put these plugs in. I quite frankly don't see spending the money to buy the ones that are already pre-cut when I can make mine real easy. And now I can move to the next one. Add a little glue. You do want a tight fit, because with the tight fit, when you sand this down, you're really not going to have any type of gap at all that's going to need to be filled. It's going to do it for you. Oftentimes I'll take it and bump it with the hammer just a little bit, and that's all that's necessary. Get the last one done. That one actually went in quite easy, just to make sure, yeah, that is good and it's set. One spot of glue I need to wipe up. Now that the glue is dry, I can just go ahead and cut these off. Now the tool that I'm using is the oscillating sander, and I've just put the cutting blade onto this tool to be able to cut these dowel rods, and it's very effective. It cuts it flush right to the bottom of the shelf, and that's what I'm looking for. And I find that this is a lot easier than other methods that I have used in the past. Now I'm using the palm sander again with the same grit. This is the 220 grit paper that I have on here. And just a little light sanding is all that's necessary to make for a very, very smooth joint. You can't even really tell where the shelf ends and that dowel rod begins. And that's the whole goal of this. So I like this method a lot. Now with the sanding done, I'm just going to grab the stain and be able to touch up this area, and you won't even know that I had done anything. I like to go ahead and put an even coat across the whole thing, and then we'll just wipe off the excess. Now if you look at that, I'm going to bring the camera in nice and close. That looks really good, nice and smooth. So that's a good, easy way to be able to do it. Now the last thing I'm going to do is go ahead and position these bars and screw those into position. So I like that spot right there. That's dead center in this opening, and I have it 1 1/4 inches up from the bottom. I think that is going to work out real well. Now I'm going to go ahead and put these on now to be able to have them positioned, and then I'll remove them to be able to put the 2 coats of polyurethane on it. Now here's a look at the completed cabinet, and I wanted to be able to point out that this cabinet has the heavy-duty hardware, because it's designed to be able to support the heavy weight of the utility belts that the sheriff's departments wear. And of course it has the 2 shelves up top. Now these shelves are just designed to hold miscellaneous items. Now the shelf that's on the left is actually designed so I could put a door on it. So if the person decides that they want a door, I can easily add that to it. And should they decide that, I'll show you how I add that in a separate video. Hi everyone, thank you for watching my video today. If you like the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below and the little bell next to it so you'll be notified on the different videos that I upload. Also check out the videos over here to be able to stay up to date on the happenings in my shop. So again, thank you for watching my videos.